I would have been so upset if I didn't record it. Okay. So today we're going to go over at least my version of body dysmorphia. You guys know I never make any, I don't pretend to be some like mental health care practitioner and things like that. I'm going to give you my view as someone who's been dealing with long-term hormonal imbalance, what has helped me, what has helped my clients. And as always, I'm available to text with you if you have a hard time trying to figure out how to do it for yourself. Okay, so let's jump into it. Perception of your appearance does not match up with reality. Meaning, hang on, been talking all day. Meaning, it doesn't have to be necessarily like, oh, you know, I see myself as this really big girl, even though I'm super small now. You know, it's what a lot of times we think body dysmorphia is. But really, it's you could be someone who thinks they look better, let's say, better than they do when they see themselves in pictures or a car window reflection or a store window or whatever. It's like basically anytime you see yourself, it's like a reminder that you don't like the way that that looks. Or it could be someone who is unable to see their progress really. Like they say to themselves like, oh, okay, you know, yeah, I feel better. I noticed this, this, and this, but it just doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it's there. You know, you could see the number on the scale, you could see the measurements change, see the pictures, or you can feel more energetic, notice that you do, and somehow there's still something that you're not doing well enough at because you're not quite there. And I kind of want to start with that one because I think there's a lot to unpack in that one. And no matter where you are in your journey here, I think at different points we can feel like that. I'm sure a lot of you guys have felt that way just with school or work and things like that. Even if you are doing well, it just always feels behind the 8 ball somehow. So I think that has a lot to do with our perception of what results actually are. And I think we're so focused on wanting the end result so badly that along the process, it's almost like you don't want to get your hopes up subconsciously to even notice a difference, you know, because it's just not quite there yet. I noticed that this week, some of you guys sent me some crazy progress photos. And even then you were like, well, I guess it's okay. I guess it's coming along. I'm getting there. I'm not where I want to be yet, but, and I was like, don't put a disclaimer on that. You know, like you can just say like, awesome, but I get it because I've been there. And it's not that we don't physically see the results. It's that we don't want to commit to seeing those results because we're afraid it's not too good to be true, or we're afraid it'll go backwards. We've somehow tricked ourselves into seeing a change, you know, and it's always out of just saving yourself from being disappointed. That's where that's rooted in. It's like when you were a kid, it was almost better to assume you got a bad grade on a test. So when you got a good grade on the test, you were like, surprise, awesome. But you don't want to get your hopes up. I find that to be the case with pretty much anything we work towards, where there's like a chance it might be something you fail at. I'm going to go over some action steps after I talk a little bit about the common scenarios where it shows. But buying the same clothes, the same size clothes, even though you have a different size now, you know, nitpicking things that nobody else sees at different points in your progress. I know at first, when I first began to notice a change in myself, I would immediately focus on the things that maybe haven't changed. Like I was saying this to a few clients the other day, my hair was the last thing for me to see a difference in. So for me, it was hard at times to be like, well, yeah, I lost weight, but like I'm bald. So even if I'm skinny, great, this is my luck. And it's hard to reel yourself in that moment and say like, I'm being really mean for no reason. Something as simple as reminding yourself, I'm being really mean for no reason, like you would if you were talking about someone else. Sometimes, even if you have to repeat it over and over again, that makes a huge difference. I feel like this lesson was handcrafted for me tonight. I relate so hard to all of this. Yeah, it was a super common theme throughout the week. And I really feel like it has a lot to do with everyone's routines changing so much. I think it has to do with people kind of just not, if everything feels like it's not what it should be and it's not reality, we're living in this like alternative reality right now, this like life waiting room, basically, then to continue thinking of progress happening within your own body is, it goes hand in hand. It's kind of a hard concept to grasp right now, you know? And I think it just kind of kicked off people into insecurity because nothing's the same. So that nothing's the same fear translates into something emergent must be happening with my body, and makes us scrutinize our results even more. So I think it's very normal. I haven't done pictures or measurements in a long time because I was struggling with consistency and I've been scared to gamble seeing results or lack thereof. The hardest thing about pictures is, and this is something I was going to talk about in a little bit, but I think it's perfect here. Think of, I feel like a few of you who have heard this example already are going to smile, but think of like a plant, right? You put the seed in the soil. It's like like a simple step, really. And it's not quite a plant yet. You're hoping this thing even sprouts. You're hoping you don't kill it, like, oh, there's another plant that I killed, you know? And then when you see the plant starting to sprout, it's okay to still be excited because you're just beginning to see that plant sprouting. It's not a full plant yet. It's not what it's going to grow into eventually, but it's okay to be excited by the first time it starts sprouting, the first leaf that you see, the first time you have to like prop it up against something because it's getting too tall now. You know, like each of those little steps leads us to that final result instead of us waiting to just have a plant. So it's important to look at our before and afters as data. It's data collecting. You know, I've had some clients who, you know, they've lost, let's say they lost a lot of measurement, a lot of inches in their torso area. And then I see that their limbs are bigger. I can tell that that might be weight, like water retention, like water weight. And there might be a reason why they're retaining weight or they're swelling in their limbs. Like there's so many little things to look at pictures of ourselves about that if we let what I consider to be like the body dysmorphia part make us so afraid of looking at ourselves. We are always, and this is mind blowing here. We are always waiting to see a picture of us looking completely different. So why even look at progress? If the only happiness is going to come where you look at that picture and somehow you have an entirely different body and it's just so drastic and you think that's the only time you deserve to look at your body, it's going to be really hard to look at your body with pride when you're seeing those little changes happening. But we don't necessarily need to look at those pictures for pride reasons or to see how good we're being or how on track we are. We look at those pictures to see what's going on, to get a better idea of what's progressing, what leaf is sprouting, you know, all of that. That's what we're trying to find with the pictures. It's the body dysmorphia that makes us avoid that. So can the people on video talk? Later on at the end, I'll do like Q&A stuff for sure. So I really want to dive into the feeling like you look better and then being shocked because you hate the way you look, or thinking you look better and being like, I knew I shouldn't have gotten my hopes up. I look like a trash heap. Like I used to be queen of self-deprecating humor, and like the jokes I would make about my own like appearance was just, I was trying to be, you know, like I'm cool, I'm sarcastic, you know, I'm the big girl who doesn't care. Oh, I cared. I was like, I said those things in a joking way just so other people didn't get to first. So when I would go out and I'm like, okay, my hair looks good, I don't feel like I have like a bald spot showing. And then I'd see somebody who took a picture of me from the side and you just see my scalp through it. It was like the whole day was thrown out the window. It could have been the best day in the world up until that point. But as soon as I realized the world was looking at my bald spot, I was like, And it was like, it consumed what could have been a great day full of memories with people and having fun. My bald spot owned it, you know? So when that happens, I like to do these examples. And those of you who have heard this week can probably laugh. I swear I repeated myself, not that I mind. It's a good indication this is the right topic for today. But some of you may have to hear the same thing a few times today. I want you guys to think of the last time you were in any type of crowded area, like where there were strangers about. I want you to think, do you remember what any one of them looked like? Like if you had to describe it to, like, you went to the police station, they got to draw that portrait or whatever. Could you pinpoint one person you encountered to describe for them to draw? Hell no. It's just like the blur of people, right? And now that's not saying everybody that you encountered is this big and looks the same and has, you know, beautiful hair and everything like that. I don't know where the hell you were if that was the case where everyone looked like that. But my point is, nothing stands out really. And if that's how it is for you, think about how that is for everybody else you encountered when you were in that situation. I bet they can't describe what you look like now, thinking back. They didn't even notice you. What were you doing while you were out in public that you didn't notice other people? Probably thinking about the way you're looking, the way you're feeling, something scary, something, or nothing, but just carrying on about your day, right? It's exactly what they did too. So now think about how many situations you're in that in the past, what other people must be thinking about you was like consuming. Think about how much energy you could have saved, realizing that everyone's in their own lane. Everyone's typically too wrapped up in how they feel about themselves to notice how you look. And how many times have you been to like an office or something and somebody working there in the front is larger than a size 4? Most times, right? Because that's society. There's not very many like thin people naturally. So it stands out when you encounter someone who has the body you want or looks how you want and stuff like that. But everyday people, which are the majority of people, you don't notice, and they don't notice you. So I want you to remember that. Everybody stays in their own lane. Everybody's too wrapped up in their own struggles, their own strife to care about you and what you look like. That sounded harsh, but you know what I mean. They're just strangers walking around. The other example is, I want you guys to think about the last time you saw an Instagram model out in person. I think I went over this like a few weeks ago in one of these calls, but it's my favorite. Do you remember the last time you saw an Instagram model with like a waist this big, like an ass that looks like a legit peach emoji and like perfectly produced and put together and your hair all did and everything like that just in real life? No, those women don't look like that in real life. Like, that's a picture. Like they wish they looked like, I did a post and I keep remembering that. Like, I'm sure they wish they looked like their Instagram pictures for sure, you know? So the reason that if you did see someone who looked like that, it would stand out to you is because it's so rare. It's so rare. We would not find people like the Kardashians and the Jenners and whoever attractive or like, you know, amazingly beautiful if it wasn't such a rare standard to have. I mean, it ain't even natural, let's be honest. Like their body's been created by money, you know? So, but we will still put ourselves in that comparison. Even if we have to pick apart, like, oh, look at her arms though. Her arms are thinner than mine. She has more definition in her collarbone. There are a million things to pick apart, right? But the rarity is what makes someone attractive. So all of you ladies who come to me saying, I want to feel normal, I want to look normal, congratulations, because this is normal, as crazy as it seems. There are people of all different sizes, health, you know, age, I don't know, everybody looks different. So remember that. Beauty standards are what they are because of rarity, not because it's abnormal to not look like them. Ugh, losing my voice, guys. I'm going to try and get through this as much as possible. Life is a sifting process. That is such a scary concept when you feel like you can't turn away people, or you can't you can't not care if they like you. That comes from a place of scarcity, of thinking like, I can't be choosy. I can't be technical difficulties. I can't be selective. I have to fit this mold so that they continue to keep me around. Or how about they wouldn't care if you didn't fit the mold, but you care so much to fit the mold that you impose that on them. Imagine how surprised you'd be if you could completely be who the hell you are. Just be who you are, be content with what you look like and where you're at. And people didn't give a shit either way. They were like, cool. Didn't change your friendship, didn't change your relationship. There are people out there like that. There are plenty of people out there, just like you guys would be friends with someone who looked like you if you guys vibed and they were good people, right? You'd be their friend. You wouldn't be like, you have to look and act a certain way for me. There are people out there like that, like you. Life is a sifting process. And if not looking a certain way makes you feel like it should keep you back, whether it be making friends, dating, a new job. I've had clients cancel interviews right before, just because they felt they're like, I feel so fat in my work outfit. And they canceled the interview because of it. All of that. When you start to realize that life is a sifting process and you should not keep anybody in your life who finds that to be detrimental, it opens up so many doors to only spend your energy on people who are worthy. And it gives you a lot more time in the day to not wonder if you fit in or not. So I wanted to keep the comments coming because I'm going to go back over them as well before Q&A. But I wanted to mention something about the result photos. I don't even like calling them result photos because I feel that each and every one of us is such a work in progress at all times, and we always will be. That's that's tough pill to swallow with issues like these, with Hashimoto's, PCOS, is we are always going to be managing these things. So calling it a result photo, I don't care if they're done with my program forever now, and I don't find that to be their final result. I find it to be an image of what they did along the way, how their body changed during a certain period of time based on the changes made. Keep it scientific, right, if you will. Because when I get a lot of client photos and I share them, it's like batten down the hatches over here at Chronic Confidence, because I know my phone's going to get blown up. And I get it. I've been in the position where I have also, I've looked at someone's progress and been like, I don't want to feel jealous of them. I want to be happy for them. I want to cheer them on, but I'm just so upset that I don't have that same thing. And you just feel kind of guilty about it, or, you just feel salty about it. Maybe that bothers you even more. But use what the hell do we call them then? I guess update photos. Use update photos as a way to do your own checkup. And what I mean by that is, if you see a results update photo from somebody else, and you're starting to feel kind of salty about it, ask questions. You can text me, you can say, how long did that take them? What did they do? Do they have the same type of PCOS that I do? Is there I don't know. You could ask questions and use it as a means to kind of give yourself a checkup. Have I done photos recently? Have I been consistent? Have we been working on exactly the same baby steps? Because all of you guys are different. I've had clients who have been with me for 3 years. Well, no, I haven't even been doing this for 3 years. They're in their second year program with me. And they're working on things still with binge triggers, stress, sleep, things that need to be worked out before any diet is going to take hold or do anything. And then I have people who get right to food in the beginning. I have people who are, believe it or not, are in this and they're literally eating. I would not recommend a food change to them, and they're still struggling. Everybody in here has such different bodies, different timing, everything's different. So keep that in mind. You can ask questions before, you jump into comparison. And if you feel you're going that way, text me. Use it as a way to say, okay, so if I want to see myself in one of these pictures, so what have I been doing that I haven't been the most consistent with? If you're like trying to think of why, or think of what off the top of your head, don't be insulted by this, but find a way to double check, whether it's tracking for a few days, whether it's really thinking back on everything that you had eaten in the past 2 days, looking at your workout from earlier in the week. Was it too much? What has my stress been much higher this week? When's my period supposed to come? You can use it as a means to ask yourself these questions and find something to put your energy into and feel like you're working towards it, because instead of feeling bad, like, why can't I just do these things? Why can't I get them? We all have those struggles, all of us. What did I want to put here? Accepting your flaws. When I say, accept your flaws, don't be ashamed, don't be, like what? Okay, you got facial hair? You got facial hair. You got a bald spot? You got a bald spot. You got, people feel upset by that initially because it seems like that means we have to be okay with it so that we're going to stay here forever. Like, I don't want to be who I am right now or feel how I feel or look how I look right now forever. But that's not what accepting where you're at means. Accepting where you're at means that you're not going to punish yourself until you have an acceptable outcome. Because if you've gone so long with hating yourself, where's your threshold for what an acceptable outcome is? Like, I have clients who someone I had one time lost 80 pounds and refused to wear a bathing suit because of the loose skin. That's a very real concern. But it just goes to show you that if we create obstacles for why our body's not good enough, it ain't ever going to be good enough. So why don't we just accept where we're at while doing the things that we know are trying to make us feel better? And what comes as an outcome, if we like who we are at every point of the journey, and we don't mind what we're doing, and we feel better, what is there left to hate about it? There's nothing left to hate about who you are, where you're at that point. And everybody's like, I don't get it when I say that. But when I accepted that is when I finally started losing weight, because I wasn't sitting there thinking my weight every single day. It does affect how you make decisions, and it does affect how good you feel about yourself. If you feel like shit about your journey, don't rely on the journey to convince you otherwise, because it's not easy for any of us. So create a mantra. I had mentioned this, where for me, I have social anxiety and panic disorder and stuff. So when I'm going to a new situation where I don't know anyone there, oh my God, I get so freaked out. I think I do a good job of hiding it, but inside I'm like, I'm going to shit my pants. I'm going to shit my pants. Like that's how it is mentally. We were going to a Christmas party with Nick's teachers that he works with. It's his first year really working there and stuff. So I haven't really met many people at all. I was terrified before we went. And then I started saying to myself, like, I was like picking myself apart in the mirror. I was like, oh my God, this camel toe that won't go away isn't because of the jeans. It's because of my friggin' fupa. Like, I was being so mean to myself because of it. And I stopped and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, how could you possibly have a good time at this party if this is how you're talking to yourself before you head out the door? Like, people aren't going to be able to read that you're friggin' miserable. Like, I will talk shit to myself. Okay. And then I'm like, what do I want to say instead? Like, because if I'm deciding to create this miserable dialogue for myself, I could just as well choose a non-miserable dialogue for myself. So what is it? And I didn't want to get all fortune cookie with it. You hear me talk about law of attraction. Like, I didn't want to get all like, I am a beautiful being and I'm at peace with myself. Like, Great. Who really buys that in the moment when you're tearing your closet apart? I literally just repeat it to myself. I look how I look and it's fine. I look how I look and it's fine. I look how I look and I feel fine. I look how I look, I'm going to go have fun. And I figured no matter what I look like, that has no impact on the amount of fun that I'm going to have at this party. Because if other people are boring assholes because I am bigger, or because I have a camel toe in these jeans, or because my hair looks like crap, like, okay, well, they just lost out on talking to someone who could be fun to talk to. What are they going to do? Talk about me when I leave? Like, did you see your hair? It's thin. Okay, yeah, I got thin hair. What do you, you know? So when you can accept yourself in that way, coming up with mantras is really easy. Like, what are some other ones I have here? I'm deciding to enjoy the company and not be obsessed with what I look like. Layman's terms, you know? It doesn't matter what others think if I look fine. I can choose how I feel about what I look like. And it's not going to be one time you say it and, oh, I'm good, I feel great. I literally have to just sit there, repeat it in the car. You know, I'm going to be friendly, and if people like me, great. I'm not going to need to fidget because nobody's staring at me like I think they are. You know, just thinking of things that I would want to feel. And that's what I would say to myself. When you have ADHD, you can even do that while they're talking to you because I definitely did that. I was like, I look how I look and I feel fine in my head. You know, but have that backup, that mantra. You know, you're going to rally the team before you head in there, rally that team and be like, no, we're good. We got this. It is what it is. I look how I look. It's fine. Okay. What else do I want to say here before I can no longer say anything? Okay. I'm going to give you guys a few action steps and then we'll do Q&A. I'm going to start with the biggest, ballsiest suggestion out of all of this. And the first time you try this, it will be terrifying. Then you'll see the reaction and you'll feel really good about it and feel really good about yourself. And it'll get easier and easier each time. But if you catch someone staring at something on you, whether it's your skin, your hair, your body, whatever, just look at them and be like, hey, what are you looking at? Not like in a, like, what are you looking at? But like in a friendly, like genuinely curious, like, hey, what you looking at? People don't know how to act. They're just like, nothing. I'm like, oh, okay. You just look like you were staring. Like, so, because they can't get mad at you for saying that. Like, you didn't come across like an asshole, you know? So what could they say? And the stuttering that comes after is hilarious. It's very gratifying. Same thing if someone says something like passive aggressive to you and you're like, ever someone say something to you and you want to just look at them and be like, was that an insult? Like, it's an interesting thing for you to say, you know? You can always just ask them what they mean. I love that. If ever I'm around someone who's being like sexist, or I mean, I'm not ever around people who are being homophobic or racist, but in the past when I have been, I've jumped in and be like, what do you mean by that? Like when they make a comment, like, oh, what do you mean? I don't get it. And just seeing them try to explain without sounding like a jerk, because now they're no longer passive aggressive, they actually have to explain what they mean, is so rewarding. Like, it's like water on the motherboard. They're like short circuiting. It's great. So I know that's really ballsy, but just go for it while being in a nice tone and have fun. Okay. For the love of God, get rid of clothing that doesn't fit you. And I don't mean clothing that is too big on you necessarily. I mean the one day I'll fit into this clothing. Donate it. Donate it. Give it to someone else who doesn't have clothes, who fits in it right now. And find clothes for your body that don't make you feel like you have to look at them every day. Can't get in them, but it's my goal. My goal is to be this size. How about your goal is to look good in jeans? Because that could be the case at any size you're at. You know, having a looming like, I need to be that, I need to be that, will never let you be present and just be at peace with where you're at. So get rid of the goal clothing. Get rid of the clothing that fit you 3 years ago, 5 years ago, a year ago, whatever the case. Get rid of the clothes from before you had a kid. Like, you have all the time in the world to eventually get pieces that make you feel good about your body in them. And like I said, donate them to someone who can fit in those clothes right now, who doesn't have clothing. You know, it'll help you feel better about the process. And it's not giving up. Don't confuse it with giving up on that goal. It's a new goal for you to continue buying clothing that makes you feel good in it. And that can be whatever size along the line. Second of all, to remedy that, I highly suggest Amazon for clothing shopping. And why that is one, I mean, not that waiting rooms are really something we have an option. I mean, dressing rooms are something we have an option for right now, but how miserable is trying stuff on? It's hot. The lighting always sucks. Those mirrors, it's like, oh my God, what is that shadow? You know, like it's just never good. And then you feel all sticky and like sweaty when you're trying stuff on. So screw that. Amazon, returns are really easy. So if you get something you don't like or it doesn't fit, that's not a bad thing. You can send it back. The other reason is sizing is a lot less about a size and more so about how much fabric is on it when you're buying from Amazon, because it's usually coming from overseas or just sizing runs smaller, let's say. So if you go to the comments, you'll see other people who are like, I'm usually a size small, I got like a large, you know, size up. So it takes away that feeling of like, if I don't fit in this size, I'm bad, because nobody's fitting in their normal size there. It's just that the fabric is cut as such. In the reviews, a lot of times, you'll see other people with real bodies wearing the actual clothing. You'll see maybe someone who reminds you of your proportions. A lot of times they'll put their height and their weight or their band size, you know, and you can kind of like figure what it might look like with your proportions. So it's just looking at clothing shopping from a very different scope, because you're going based on other people having done it. It's cheaper, way cheaper than in stores usually. I've gotten some crazy deals on Amazon. And like I said, if you hate it, you can return it. But I highly recommend Amazon shopping. I even like to make just like lists for clothes. So I'll like set up a list and then I'll just add to it as I find stuff. You know, I never actually buy it. Anyone else in here have a ton of shit in their shopping cart and like various websites all around the web? I'd have the best closet if I can just purchase all the stuff lingering in shopping carts right now. What else is this? Oh, this is a big one. Decide that you're going to learn how to like taking pictures of yourself. That's really hard. I get it because, you know, a lot of times you'll feel good about yourself. You see yourself on camera and it'll be like, that's me. Because truly, angles do matter. The camera does make you look differently with lighting. Everything you see on Instagram, it's all about like the smoke and mirrors. I'm glad that I'm so awkward that I could not be one of those Instagram posing models if I tried. But it's so much harder than it looks. Like I don't have the back strength to do half of those friggin' poses that those women have, you know? So learn how to take pictures of yourself just being you, that you don't mind. Learn how your face looks in certain ways. Learn how your body looks in certain cuts of clothing. You don't have to do it all in one session. You can be over time. YouTube some stuff about posing, you know, just to take nice pictures of yourself. Get familiar with what your body looks like so that you can get to a point where you don't resent it for looking that way. You're going to delete a lot of pictures. You're going to look like an idiot in a lot of pictures. Like I get like 50 rejects for like one I actually like, but I don't hate myself looking at the rejects. I find them funny because my face is like in them, you know? Accepting where we're at, looking at ourselves and forcing ourselves to not immediately go to the disgust button is important. And then lastly, before we do Q&A, learn how to not feel weird by compliments, because that is huge. That, yeah, sometimes I still get uncomfortable with compliments. I'm not going to lie, but a lot of it stems from the fact that you feel conceited and weird not getting weird by compliments, or you wonder if they really mean it, or if, I don't know, just, oh, I didn't even know you were looking at me like that. 'Cause now you know there's attention on you. Start to figure out why that attention would be bad. Journal about it. What's bad about someone giving me good attention or a compliment? Why do I reject compliments? What do you feel when someone gives you a compliment? Get all that stuff on paper and start to get comfortable with them, because the quicker we can feel deserving of compliments, just the less likely we are to insult ourselves. So I will try to answer as many as I can before this craps out. But first, let me see these messages you guys sent. Okay, my outfit for my catering job, I had so many jokes and puns, it was insane. My friend and such I worked with would laugh, but yell at me for saying such things. Yeah, same. I was always ready to kick my own ass before anyone else could. I've been really inconsistent, no tracking, not exercising, not giving my all. I'm completely discombobulated with everything going on. I can't see who said that. Oh wait, Stephanie. Okay, text me. I think, well, I know that you're very much not the only one. And it's not because like, oh, like you suck. It's because everybody got turned on their ass with what's been going on the last few months. Even if it didn't dramatically affect you in your day-to-day, the amount of just emotional energy that is everywhere right now, and just how exhausting of a time it is right now, that ends up affecting your motivation to want to do stuff. If we feel like, what's the point? It's really hard to be like, let me go and put effort into this, when you just want to like curl up and not think about it, And I think that's super common with a lot of people. I have had to do reset talks with people, and I expected it throughout the last few months, commonly, some more than once with people. So never hesitate to reach out if you're like, why am I in this haze? It's normal. Your body always hears what your mind is saying. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I'm focusing this week on Instagram. My posts are going to be centered around maybe some different hormones than we're used to hearing about, because we don't realize just how many things hormones are responsible for. And that is mentality based. That is everything. So absolutely. I need to stop being so negative to myself, constantly tearing myself down. Yeah. I'd say set up a time that's like, okay, this is my negativity time, right? And once this is over, I'm done. Like, I'm going to rip this paper up and be done. Jot down all the awful things that have been like you've been carrying with you every day, the thoughts, the triggers, the events that make you feel bad after the fact, whatever comes to mind. Set a time in your time, like put an alarm in your phone, and when that alarm goes off, you rip up that paper. Get rid of it. And if you start to notice that this pattern's happening again, do it again. Even if it gives you motivation for like a day or two, that's great. That's motivation for a day or two. You do it again. Keep reminding yourself, like, you are in control of this stuff. Okay. Getting rid of clothes is on my to-do list this week. Absolutely. Purge it out. And, there's something therapeutic about just getting, if you have stuff cluttering, get it out of here. And if it's stuff that you look at and you're like, I wish I could fit in that, you're going to feel so much better not having that looming over you. My favorite comeback is thanking them for the compliment, or like doing like how you suggested. I'm weird, but enjoy making people squirm. Me too. Because I'm like, nah, I'm not going to confront you so you can turn around and say that I'm a crazy bitch. Like, I'm just going to be super nice and make you admit to being the asshole in the situation. Because I don't care either way. I agree. I like when people who are underhanded, when they squirm. I'm so awkward with compliments. Yeah. I feel like if you're someone who's like, oh, thank you, like really good at accepting compliments, I wouldn't go that way either. It's good to be humble, but don't let it be like you think they're lying every time they compliment you either. compliments always throw me off. Like, do they really mean it? Yeah. I mean, okay. I had a client one time who told me that she is absolutely convinced that men who date heavy women it's either a fetish or they're not ever attracted to heavy women. I don't care what people say. This is a woman who's saying this. I'm like, but you're not a man. Like, you're not, I don't know if you know that to be true, considering you're speaking for a whole other group of people who are not here to say that they agree or disagree. I said to her, I was like, but there are people who love curvy women. Like, you see it all the time. What do you mean? She was like, well, that's just because it's a fetish. And that was really how she felt. So whenever people were complimenting her, she was like getting offended, thinking like the only reason you could like me is because you think I just am easy. That's how deep that went, you know? So I think take it at face value. If someone gives you a compliment, you don't know the inner workings of their mind. You don't know if they really like go home at night and think about it. But at the very least, you know, they're telling you something nice in the moment. Enjoy it. Relish in what it is for what it's worth. That's crazy about the comment with men. My husband prefers 100%. Everybody, you know what? What is it? Different strokes for different folks. I don't care. You watch TLC. There's people who fall in love with their car exhaust and tree stumps. Like, it's a weird world that we're living in. We really can't be picky here. So, all right. I want to do some Q&A. So.
Yay. Okay.
You were like waiting in the wings. I saw you.
It really was. Well, so one thing about the whole body dysmorphia situation is when you were saying, you know, like we don't see the results because it's not what we're looking for, or we're not at our goal yet, or we're not seeing the complete different person or complete different change in us or whatever. For me, I feel like there's such a big I guess trend on how women are supposed to look nowadays, that's who I'm in my head wanting to look like. Like I'm not, I feel like I'm never going to be good enough unless I look in the mirror one day and see the person on the screen. And yes, I do know that a lot of it's probably filters and edits and everything else, but at the same time, I personally do know a lot of women that do have that goal body or that goal image, and it's very it just sucks to not be. I mean, it doesn't suck. It's just you feel outcasted even more so than you already do with the situation health wise that we're in, you know?
Yeah. So something I recommend for that, look when you do see people around you who are real people, like they're typical, I guess you could say, typical looking people, start to train yourself to find beautiful qualities in them. Like, if someone doesn't look like your typical, like you wouldn't, maybe, this is going to sound mean however I say it, but I'm just going to be candid. Someone you wouldn't typically look at and be like, oh my God, she's so gorgeous. Look at the people around you and find things about them that you honestly are like, oh, like, you know, you find them to be, and it could be their personality really, you know, and maybe it's their expression. They have a kind face. They're warm people. You know, you can see that. Find the things you love about them, even though they're not your conventional, you know, people we look up to.
Well, I do. I always hype up women, no matter what, how big, how small, how whatever. I am always hyping up women because I find women to be beautiful no matter what they look like.
Oh yeah.
But I guess for me, when I look in the mirror in regards to my body dysmorphia, I look in the mirror and I see, have you ever seen James and the Giant Peach?
So long ago, and I cannot hear what you're gonna reference.
I feel like I look like that wicked old aunt with the fat wicked old aunt. Like that's what I see. Like I look in the mirror and I'm like, dang, my hair's thin, it looks stringy, I'm fat, I'm like, my face breaks out all the time, I'm swollen on my face. It's just a lot.
So one, dive into some law of attraction stuff on the page for sure. It's not going to feel real right away. It's not going to feel like it takes away those thoughts right away. But when you become accustomed to cultivating the thoughts and the feelings and things you put out there, because you start to see a return come back from that, from doing that, it just, you instinctively do less of the negativity stuff, even if it still happens sometimes. You know, instinctively, things before that would have made you spiral or would have made you like taking the whole day to get over, you'll notice it'll bother you less. And the more you continue along that, because you start to adopt the mentality that what we put out there is what we create, your brain just won't go that way right away all the time. And that's something.
So I pretty much train myself to see myself that way.
Yeah.
I got to retrain my brain now.
And this is the part I forgot to mention from here too, is no matter, I don't care who it is in this world, it could be the most grown, like body positive person in the world. We live in a society that provides us comparisons all the time, celebrates those comparisons, whether they're real or not, all the time. You can't be a human being who has access to that all the time and not put yourself in that box of comparison. So besides just making sure you don't keep following accounts that make you feel bad, and follow accounts that make you feel good. Besides that, oh crap, hold on. It's in my notes here. I forgot to say. Hold on, it's here. Damn it. Oh, yeah. Okay. So it doesn't matter how grown you are as a person. It's not about not ever having those thoughts. It's about being able to pinpoint that you're having them and then know how to quickly dismiss them and carry on. It's just about how much pull it has over you, but it's not about how they, like the fact that they happen. You know, we're humans and it's really tough. We're inundated with the image of even the body posy models. Like I love them. I'm not trying to like hate on anybody here, but I remember thinking to myself, the body posy models are still proportionate. Like they don't have like double chins. I feel like they don't have, like they have a nice little waist. They have rounded.
They don't have a built-in fanny pack either. That's what's messed up.
Or they don't have hip dips. That was the biggest one. And I remember at one point while I was like losing weight in the middle of it, I was like, I have to start working out. I'm getting hip dips. They're so pronounced now. Then I was like, wait, what? Like I just worked so hard to lose this weight. I feel great. Like, why am I doing that? You know? So, there it is again. What was I just saying? I'm so sorry. It's been such a long day.
The body positive models.
Yeah.
You don't see this, you don't see that.
I will remember that on the playback. I apologize. But you know, it's one, dive into law of attraction. And then two, what I was saying before, accept where you're at, accept what you look like. You know what? This is my body shape. This is my hair. It doesn't have to be bad. It's just this is what it is. You've been conditioned to feel a certain way if you don't look a certain way for decades of your life. It's not going to be overnight that all of a sudden you actually buy that whole, I look great no matter what. That isn't natural, because the way of thinking where you hate yourself is your natural state. So it's going to take time. Look for improvements in your mentality with that, like you look for improvements in pictures. Because with that, like with that plant seed, every time a leaf sprouts, you know you're getting better and better and better. And that's what's going to give you your plant one day. So, let's see here. I'm so sorry that I can't take on more calls. I feel like my voice box is going to fall out of my mouth. But I am going to post a recording of this one and last week's in the page. And if anybody has any extra questions or they want to dive deeper on what we talked about today at all, always feel free to text me. And yeah, we'll work it out. Thank you guys for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the rest of your week. I will post in the page if we're going to start the Zoom with law of attraction on Sundays. I will post in the page if we're doing it this week. So look out for that. All right. Mwah. Goodbye, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you soon.